Ollie Palmer, just the steps of your career are fascinating. The origins of your career are fascinating.
I need to
'Cause you were
speak to you more. You're so kind. Wish my
you were
wife
the
would speak
rare.
to me like this.
Ollie, this is, by the way, just to be candid, this is all true. Let's start with this one. You were the rare latecomer to professional football. You didn't work your way through a club's youth system. You weren't in an academy as a
Yeah.
highly touted 10-year-old.
Done your homework. You really done your homework. Yeah. So
you said, quote, I'd never set foot in a professional football club until I was 20, which is amazing. First, how did it happen that you...
Where did you find that?
In your forthcoming autobiography, I Never Wear a Shirt by
People
Ollie
say to me all
Palmer.
the time, you should do one of those because your life's incredible. But Mums has done this for now, so I'm staying away from that.
How did it happen that you realised that you had skills, a very particular set of skills, to put the ball in the back of the net that could do more than just play with you, playing on a field with your mates?
I don't think I did know. I just had like a real love and passion for playing football. I always wanted to be a professional footballer, and I think getting to 16 and just playing week in, week out with your local team, being the best local team as well. It wasn't just like, we were beating everyone in the county and stuff like that. And then we had players in our team that were going in and out of academies. And then representing your county when I was 15, 16, traveling around England, playing other counties. That was pretty cool. But again, that's still grassroots stuff, right? And then it was probably from 16 to about 19 where it wasn't actually my mum or my dad, it was my grandparents, actually, mainly my granddad, who would come down on me really hard. Family barbecues, Christmas, birthdays, whenever we're together, you've got to get a job, you've got to stop living in La La Land, you're not going to be a professional footballer. And, that's his era, and that's fine. I love him because it did drive me to go on and try and prove him wrong. And he wanted the best of me. He didn't want me to dream of becoming a professional footballer and then falling flat on my ass and having absolutely nothing, because I wasn't the brightest spark at school, right? So it was, what are you going to do with your life? So I then went into a academy scheme. Again, it was still non-league, but it was for 16 to 18-year-olds, and it's for a team called Woking Football Club. They had a college scheme. So I then went to college 3 days a week and trained every day. But the main thing that my parents and my family were happy about was that I was now going to college, so I was studying again. I never even fucking turned up. I actually caught up with a few friends. From college who I haven't seen for years. Two lovely lads. They came up to Wrexham and made a weekend, and it was so great to see them after about 12 years. And that's what this has done. This has brought me back in touch with like real, genuine friends. And again, so I was, going to college.
It's amazing though. On one hand, you're like, it made my parents proud. I was finally in college. I never fucking went. But you were also...
I wasn't interested. Not interested in sitting in the class.
You're at Woking, you're at Havant and Waterlooville. You're also working full-time in construction as a roofer.
Yeah, so I was doing roofing. Actually, to be fair, I'm just doing an extension now. And I said to my wife that we're getting a roofer, and she's like, didn't you say you used to be a roofer? Could you not do that?
Get up there! Make yourself bloody useful.
I did about a year. I probably got sacked after about a year and a half.
Yeah, but you're doing day-long shifts. You're doing day-long shifts. You're jumping on the train.
No,
you're
I really know. Do you know what? This is one thing I will say, and I will, actually give myself a pat on the back if I'm being honest, right? I was getting up at 5. I know you hear about these stories, but I was genuinely getting up at 5. I was doing a roofing job till 3. I didn't drive, so then I would have to get the train. Do you know what? It wasn't even when I was playing for Woking, because that wasn't too bad. That took me about an hour to get in.
Yeah, it was Havant and Waterlooville.
No, do you know what? Before that, I went on loan from Woking to a team called St Albans and Boreham Wood on the other side of London. So I'd be roofing from 5 to about 3, and then I was getting like the train, the tube, the train. Then I was actually getting to training at Boreham Wood or St Albans, either or, both of them not too far away from each other. Then I was getting the train home and getting in, making the last train. I was getting in at like 12 and then getting up again and going back on the roof at 5. Like, that was a tough time. But I just love playing football. And I was being loaned out.
That's what I wanted to know, Ollie. What are you thinking on those long train rides? And imagine you with your hood tied tight. It's midnight. Other people are hammered, having a great time, going clubbing. You're just getting home, getting a couple of hours, getting back on the roof, getting back into training, back on that train. What did you think was possible? Were you having a laugh, or was there a big goal that kept you going day after day?
I was 18, 19, and you got loads of energy at that age, you know. It wasn't like, you know, I got loads of energy. You do all-nighters at that age, don't you? Like, it's not a problem. So I had lots of energy, and I love football, and I was making money roofing. So I had other jobs. I worked for my cousin's events company up in Kensington. I was just doing any job that I could land that I could enjoy and working. You know, I would do it. And then, yeah, so that loan to Boreham Wood paid off, where we played against Havant and Waterlooville, and they said, "Oh, who's the kid?" And they said, "Oh, we've got him on loan from Woking." And I just got told a week later, I was like, "You're going to Havant and Waterlooville." We got a little bid in, $2,000, like fucking nothing, right? I think it's just to clear some paperwork, probably. So I then went there, and then just kind of never looked back. I then had a new football club, and I was playing first team football, still non-league, but I just started scoring goals. The manager, Lee Bradbury, I wouldn't have been able to do it without him. You always need someone in your corner. You need someone that believes in you. And I had a man called Lee Bradbury, who was the manager of Havant and Waterlooville, who did everything for me. And he worried about how I got to work. He worried about how I got to, you know, how I got home from training. Did I have a day off from roofing? Sometimes on a Wednesday, come in, Ollie, we'll do one-on-ones. I'll get some other younger lads in. We'll do like a 4 or 5 of you training, right? And I'm like, yeah, of course, I'm there. And he just wanted the best for me. And I played and I scored. I got a new deal. I then played the full next season. And then I, you know, got all them. I got like the golden boot for the league and player of the season for the league and whatnot in the Conference South. And then I just had clubs come in, professional football clubs. And I remember when I signed my first deal, I was elated.
And it all took off from there. That one gentleman believing in you, you know, this kinetic career ensued. Stops at Mansfield.
Well, I went downhill first, and then it went back. So I've gone like that. I've got there to Mansfield, shithole, hated every minute of it, hated playing there, hated living
Grimsby
there.
Town. Grimsby Town.
Hated it. I thought, what is this? This is not what I've dreamed. Bearing in mind what I've just told you, I've dreamed about this moment, right? I've got there, changing room. You know what I spoke about? Acid people, dickheads. Plenty of them in there, fans moaning, like, and then honestly, gone there, hated it, and then I'm starting to think I'm shit, I'm terrible, and I was shit there because I was nervous. I was a nervous wreck in training and in games. I was made to feel like that by the changing room and the fans. That's the truth. And then,
so I want to do this. Mansfield Town, shithole. Grimsby Town,
great. Loved it. Passionate fans, gone on loan, and they support. And do you know what? They got behind me. They've probably got this League Two failure, who's now not paid in the conference. I'm not playing in the conference because I've skipped it from the conference out. I don't know how this is going to go. They're going for promotion. Again, Paul Hurst in my corner. Look, you're going to come here. We believe in you. Confidence, changing room, great group of lads. Still in contact with some of them now. Fans, similar to Wrexham, travelling numbers, get behind the team. I went there and I think I scored I only played 16 games, but I think I scored like 8 or 10 goals. And then had a playoff final and unfortunately lost on penalties. And then that's when I got away. So I then had from that period.
You're everywhere. Mansfield Town, Grimsby Town, Leyton Orient. You actually love the town.
That's when I went to Leyton for 2 years. Sorry. Went to Leyton Orient for 2 years off the back of that Grimsby loan.
You went on loan to Luton Town, January 2017.
Yeah, you've got to be fair to me there, though. We weren't getting paid. So a lot of people were leaving. The chairman was a lunatic and, you know, he locked us in a hotel for a week and refused to pay the team from January. Like, we got wind that we weren't being paid. And December didn't get paid. So I'm like, well, fuck this. Everyone else was leaving. They were literally playing the youth team.
You got locked in a hotel for a week.
Yeah, one of the lads actually had a baby at the time and he wouldn't let him leave. It's quite sad, really. I don't know why. I do talk about football and football being a little bit medieval times, and it's not really up. I mean, if there was HR in football, I think a lot of people would get sacked, to be honest.
There was HR.
Yeah, I can tell you.
By the way, listeners, you talk about the romance of football, the dreams that are propelling young Ollie Palmer. You have lived it all. I mean, you've lived all. Luton Town, then in League Two, since been triple promoted, obviously making a return to the Premier League this season, which must make Wrexham's dream seem very, very real.
No,
But
it does. You take inspiration from that. You do, because Luton was a great football club again, great set of fans, and they were on the up.
Yeah. I mean, their stadium, like Wrexham's own Stoke Kairas, which can be the most threatening thing in Wales since Roald Dahl on a bad day. But Kenilworth Road, that little hat box of a stadium, generating just an insane atmosphere. You've been everywhere. I mean, you've been every level. You've been all over the nation. As players, how aware are you of the crowd home and away? You know, what's the most entertaining or surprising thing you've ever heard shouted from the stands at you, Ollie Palmer?
I'm not repeating it on air. Get now. You get me cancelled. I'm getting fired on another podcast.
You can say Mansfield Town shithole, but you can't tell us what was said from the stands.
Yeah, well, I hated that. Yeah, that. I think you get a lot of abuse from fans, don't you? But I think you like you got to embrace it and enjoy it. You know, as long as you've got a good set of fans behind you, it doesn't matter what the opposition fans are saying. You know, I get abused every week. I get abused every single week, and yeah, I enjoy it, to be honest. Quite enjoy it. So that's not a problem. I feel like for me, if you just got a good set of fans behind you, anything's possible. And you know, I say this with the utmost respect to other clubs, and I'm just trying to think of clubs that don't have a huge following, with the utmost respect. But you see, like maybe a non-league like Boreham Wood or like a Wealdstone. I mean, with the utmost respect, if Ryan and Rob had gone in there and took a football club over, then I promise you, it wouldn't have been the same as what they've done here at Wrexham. It wouldn't have been possible because you don't have that support, that backing, the fanatic football fans. And you have to have that. That's key. And everyone learned that in lockdown when there was no fans in football. It was crap. Every single game was crap. And it just showed how important fans were.
From Lincoln, you joined Crawley Town. Then August 2020, you signed with League One side AFC Wimbledon. Really a beautiful life moment. Your grandfather, Tony Wright, spent 4 seasons with the old Wimbledon in the late 1950s. And when you were a kid, I imagine a little Ollie Palmer with child-sized tattoos. Wimbledon was the club you supported, but counting non-league sides and the clubs you were on loan, AFC Wimbledon, incredibly the 11th team you made an appearance for inside a decade. Ollie, how does that become shuttling between locker rooms, club cultures? You see a lot of life. You know, you've taken the long road. What have you learned from always moving, fighting, proving yourself, having to perpetually fit in and hit the ground running?
Made me feel like I'm homeless. No, I think at this level, right, at anything below League One, League Two and below, people move around. You're normally looking at 2-3 years max at a club and you move on. Very rarely do players stay at clubs for 5-6 years. It's not the Premier League. You're not getting multi-million-pound deals for 6-7 years, or it's very, very common to move around. And I feel very fortunate to have done that, to experience so many parts of the country. You know, to live in Lincoln, such a beautiful place. To live in Essex, that was such an amazing time for me as well. Playing for Orient and Luton, I love living in Essex. Mansfield, not so much. But then coming home. And signing up for Wimbledon was a great moment for me. You know, they were back at Plough Lane. It was a great moment for my family, friends, and it was super proud moment. Unfortunately, I got injured in my first season, and it ended up being a really tough time. I missed the first 30 games. I think I came back for like the last 10 or 11 games. which was great. And then obviously the second season, I was only there for half a season because I ended up leaving to come to Wrexham. So I never thought I was going to leave Wimbledon. I thought that was me there for like 5-6 years. That's what I wanted at the time. But unfortunately, for me, they wanted a younger philosophy at that football club. They wanted to sign really young, like 18, 19, 20-year-olds. And that's fine. That's what they wanted to do at the time. And made it quite an easy decision for me to come to Wrexham.
We do have to touch upon something you've said, because you talked about the injuries, and you are, your body, your body has been your everything, and anyone that watches you knows that you are what is apparently, I think scientifically, it's a scientific term, you are a physical specimen. And it hasn't always been a straight line. You mentioned the injury. You had a surgery on your hip in the summer of 2020. And early 2021, on your 29th birthday, you posted on Instagram side-by-side images that showed how you looked immediately after your surgery, which was a bit like me. And you highlighted the long road you had to get yourself back to six-pack match fitness. You wrote really beautifully, a mixture of mistakes, complications, coronavirus lockdown, and feeling sorry for myself led me to a dark place. I mean, it was a really brave and candid admission, Ollie. What prompted you to speak so honestly about your struggles? Because it was incredible.
I mean, again, just going back to what I said earlier about being authentic, and I feel like you've got to be careful. You don't want to kind of open up too much and let everyone into your private life. I'm still quite a private person, but I still want to try and help other people. And if people are going through the same things, I feel like when you speak on something, you might help someone. And that was a really tough time. I nearly retired. I genuinely remember being at home with my wife and crying and saying, I cannot get back fit. And there was some mistakes at Crawley that happened. And then we were in lockdown. And then I went to Wimbledon. They wanted me, I think, Crawley, a lot of stuff went on behind the scenes, which I'm not going to go into, and because they're good people there. But it was just a few mistakes happened, and differences of opinions, and how they wanted me to do something that I wasn't comfortable with doing. And then signing for Wimbledon, and having the surgery, technically failing the medical because I just had surgery, but Wimbledon wanted to sign me, so very gratefully signed me. And then I broke down from that moment. So it was post-surgery where I then tore my rect fem, which led into my psoas tendon through my hip. And I went to see the best specialists, over the course of the year. People like James Moore in London, Dr. Kugat in Barcelona, who eventually did actually get me back, where I was at the point where I was at home crying, saying I can't get back. I couldn't even sit down and lift up my leg for a year of just rehab. And we've got great, medical staff working, at these lower league clubs. And I went to see outside help, and I couldn't sit down on the floor and lift up my leg. So I couldn't get any power through my leg, and no one knew what the hell was going on. And I needed to retire. It was a tough time. And then with COVID, being at home, not training, feeling sorry for yourself, eating, drinking, and got out of it. And then, Dr. Kugat in Spain, who I still see now just to keep on top of it, because I wouldn't ever want it to come back. But I then got back in shape and worked my nuts off to get back into a position where I could still represent. There goes my basketball. I'll put that up there just for you guys, I'll be honest.
The American audience, Ollie, that's amazing.
Stay there. So, oh, for fuck's sake. So, I was in a bad place, but I managed to get back fit, and then, not really look back. Started the season really well with Wimbledon. Everything was going well. We were kind of in the playoff spots, and things were going well. And played away at the Emirates against Arsenal in the cup, and all great fun. Everything going well. Left.
And then January 2022, 11 months after Rob and Ryan had taken over as Wrexham's new owners, the club paid a record-setting $381,000 to bring you in from Wimbledon. I love this about you. Even after signing your contract and agreeing to join Wrexham, you still played the full 90 minutes for one final game for Wimbledon.
You've done your research.
Of course, you scored the opening goal in a draw with Burton Albion.
Yeah.
And you said that leaving Wimbledon, this club your grandfather played for, the club you watched with your dad that you supported as a kid, you said it was, quote, the hardest decision you've had in football. But what did you know about Wrexham at the time? What were you hoping for in your heart that would make it worth this emotionally challenging move?
I didn't know a lot. Like I said, I hadn't really played in the conference. I'd played in the Conference South, and then I'd missed the conference going into League Two. So I didn't really know a lot about Wrexham. I didn't know a lot about their history. And yeah, I spoke to Phil Parkinson with the permission of the football club. You know, the manager, going on touching on that, the Wimbledon manager at the time didn't know that everything had been agreed. And I got a call on Friday to say everything's agreed. You're going to Wrexham. And I went and told the manager. It was me who told the manager. He was like, what? And he said, will you still play tomorrow? And I said, yeah, well. And all the lads thought I was crazy because I'm risking my whole contract on one game. But it was just the respect that I had for the football club and the manager. I would have loved to have gone out on a win. But yeah, that wasn't to be. But I was a little bit, few watery eyes. I'm a little bit of an emotional guy, but I had a few little watery eyes, to be fair, after that game. And spent the whole road home from Burton, sat with the manager on the coach, and he was trying to talk me out of it. But I'd at that point made up my mind, and everything had been agreed, and I didn't feel like from the negotiations at the start, I wasn't too valued at Wimbledon, where they didn't want to give me. Well, I only asked them to match, another 2 years to my deal, and they didn't want to do that. So I said, fine. And then I spoke to Phil, and he, with the club's permission and everything being agreed, I spoke to Phil, and he just said, look, told me about the history of the football club, European football club. I didn't know that before just before I signed. Told me about the fan base, the travelling support, packed out stadium, the project, where the club was going, and I believed every word. And at that point, I still hadn't spoken to the owners, but the gaffer here has got an unbelievable track record of promotions and even getting to doing really well in Carabao Cups and FA Cups. So I just kind of was sat on every word, really, and my mind was made up. And then I don't regret it. I'm even happier now. It's just such a shame it's so far away from my home. But apart from that, it's a bit of a long commute for me from time to time. But
from mighty Epsom, where you commute, but it's not stopped you, because you made your Wrexham debut against Grimsby Town. Of course, you went and scored the only goal in a 1-0 win against one of your former teams. Those 16 appearances for Grimsby in 2014. Quick one, can we get a ruling? Did you celebrate?
Yeah, I did, but you know why? I get abuse off the Grimsby support now. I don't know why. So I did celebrate.
Before the game, this is what's amazing about you. You hadn't had the opportunity to train or even to meet your new teammates.
I hadn't met anyone.
You'd only learned their names because you looked them all up online. And you've since forged a real partnership with Merseyside-born goal machine Super Paul Mullin, possibly the best romance since Jon Snow and Sam Watali. You seem to have immediately formed an off-the-field friendship. Occasionally you meet for meals, you comment on his breakfast orders. By the way, I can't believe Paul Mullin, a Scouser, has an avocado sandwich for breakfast either. But how does that relationship off-field factor into how you work together on the pitch?
Yeah, we're a little bit like chalk and cheese now. I'm a Londoner, he's a Scouser. And but I feel like it kind of adds to our relationship, and we get on great. And it's been great to have that partnership with him for the last 2 years. I feel like it's worked well together. People think we work on things, together. We don't. We just go out there and play. Obviously, the manager does his team shape and tactical. But me and Moles ourselves, we just give each other a high five and go out and do what we need to do together.
Is that true? It's like, if you guys don't know what you're going to do, there's no way the opposition does either.
It just works. It's been great. It's been great fun, and I've loved partnering up with him. And there's plenty of good strikers at the club as well. Sam Dolby's a fantastic young talent. We've got Stephen Fletcher, who got a hat trick last week. who's, incredible pedigree. And again, all of them great guys. So
Can you tell us something we don't know about Super Paul Mullin?
can I tell you something you don't know?
Yeah, that surprises.
Well, if you don't know, he probably wouldn't want you to know it. So
He's not listening.
He's a Tory at heart.
Oh my God! Oh my God! Now we are going to find out if he's listening for sure.
You're going to clip that, ain't you?
By the way, during Wrexham's National League winning season, you and Paul combined for an incredible 62 goals all competitions. You're like the Welsh Bash brothers. Last April, Wrexham sealed promotion, the National League title, with a 3-1 win over Boreham Wood and 15 years' worth of demons exercised. Manager Phil Parkinson soaked in champagne, singing Championes in that dressing room. You live streamed yourself sitting in the trunk of your own car shouting, "Who's coming to the EFL?" Do you remember anything about that? What's your abiding memory of that trunk moment?
Well, because we all had a few friends and family of us, so I had my two of my best mates, and we were like getting into town, and car pulled over just to say congratulations. I said, "Could you give us a lift into town?" I said, "The car's full." I said, "Open the boot." Then I got it out, started filming it, and I was filming my mate running, trying to catch up with us because he didn't want to get left behind, because he probably knew once I was in the club, I'd be off, and we'd be singing and dancing. So yeah, no, it's just a funny moment off the cuff.